What's up, guys? It's me again, Christian Rodriguez, and today I wanted to talk about reasons why men need to control their emotions. And I've made a video about this in the past. I've mentioned it in many of my videos, but I really want to just really pin it down into your head. I want to drill it into your head on why men need to control their emotions. And it's often overlooked, regardless of how successful you are, or what you do, or how cool you are, or how in shape you are. You need to have composure when it comes to your emotions, because the thing is, if in one of the laws in the 48 laws of power, it talks about so much matters in reputation, right? He says guard your reputation with your life, right? And the reason why he says that is because I would say the biggest reason why most people ruin their reputation, right? Many times, not all the time, but many times, it's because of a loss of emotional control. Maybe they lash out. They get really mad and they lash out in front of everyone. You can't do that, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're a leader of somehow. Maybe you're a manager, maybe you're an instructor, maybe you're a yoga instructor, anything. You have to be composed. You have to, even like when there's a storm, right? You have to be that ship you have to be the captain that everyone like looks to when there's a storm. And the captain's staying composed. The captain knows to keep going in a direction. He knows how to handle the storm. Because if he doesn't handle the storm, people are going to be like, oh shoot, like if he's the captain, he's freaking out. How am I supposed to stay calm? So it's super important. But I wanted to give an example too, a real life example, a famous one, the one that you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys know once I bring it up. But if you look back at Will Smith, right, during the Oscars, right, you know, like Chris Rock joked about his wife, right? And I agree, like maybe it was offensive. It was a sensitive topic, right? But Will Smith reacted impulsively. He reacted impulsively. He went on the stage and slapped him in front of millions of people on the Oscars, right? If Will Smith would have just like paused, right, for a second, he would have been like, okay, that pissed me off, but maybe it's not a good idea for me to like slap him, even though I want to slap him right now really badly or punch him in the face. Maybe it's not a good idea to do that right in front of like millions of people in the Oscars while it's televised with maybe billions of more other people watching it. So maybe he could have thought about it. He could have maybe waited for the performance to end, for the Oscars to end. Maybe pull Chris Rock to the side. Maybe even confront him, or maybe not even confront him, or maybe even talk to him and tell him tell him how he felt about it, and allow him to save his face. And that's key. Making Chris Rock save his face, because if he makes him save his face, he doesn't make him feel embarrassed in that situation. I guarantee you Chris Rock probably felt embarrassed. He just played it off because he's an actor, and he's probably been in so many uncomfortable situations. But I guarantee you he felt some form of embarrassment, and that built up some silent resentment. And back to the 48 laws of power, he probably created some sort of silent enemy. And Chris Rock is a very influential guy. And there's another law in 48 Laws of Power. It talks about don't offend the wrong person, know who you're dealing with. I think Will Smith violated that by embarrassing Chris Rock. And yes, I don't want to talk too much about, Chris Rock, Will Smith. Will Smith lost his emotions. That's really what it is. And that's the thing. You have to be able to control your emotions, because 90% of people do not know how to control their emotions. They don't. They react impulsively. I'm talking about Will Smith. Will Smith is someone who's very successful. He has millions of dollars. He's famous. He was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, come on. Like, he was famous. He's still famous. He was like one of the largest, he had like one of the largest TikTok pages up until that event. I remember seeing that he had one of the largest TikToks and one of the largest followings on social media. So this guy was no joke, but even he couldn't control his emotions. And I would think that was even worse because he was famous, because he could fuck up his life even more than someone who has nothing to lose. But yeah, it ruins your reputation. That's really like important. And that's the thing. When you lose your emotions, you know what it exposes? It exposes weakness. It exposes insecurity. And others who may have thought of you like neutrally or saw you highly are now, they begin to see you like in a different way. They begin to see you differently. They may not trust you as much. They may think, okay, this guy's not stable. This guy, I can't trust him with certain things, or I don't really want to associate with him. So you have to be very aware of that. And yes, of course, when it comes to this, if women lose their emotions, I'm not saying that it's great for women to lose their emotions, but women have leeway when it comes to losing their emotion. They can. They could definitely lose their emotion and get away with it. And I think it's because it's a more biological thing. Us men, we want to protect women, right? That's something that we naturally want to do. At least most men, we want to protect women, right? And when a woman's lashing out emotionally, in a way, we don't see it. We don't see it like anything bad. We're like, okay, she's feminine. We need to take care of her. Things happen. It is what it is. But when a man reacts and loses his shit, loses his cool, loses his emotions, he gets very little leeway. Maybe when he's a young boy, or a teenager, he's maybe in his early 20s, he gets a little bit of leeway because he's seen as young and immature. But men are valued on leadership. They're valued on their composure. If you think about the favorite guys you've grown up watching, right? The guys that a figure that really inspired you or you looked up to. If you think of Batman, right? I've used this example before in the channel, but if you look at Batman, right? Why do you think Batman's such a badass, right? He's a badass. He's in Gotham. It's a dark. He beats up bad guys, but he's very calm. You don't see him lashing out. Even when Bane broke his back, right? The villain, one of the villains, broke his back, right? You don't see Batman screaming and I think he was in pain, and that was pretty excusable. But even then, you didn't see him like bitching and complaining or just like losing his emotions, crying or reacting very angrily like that's an exaggeration. But you don't see that. You don't see that. You don't see that from the top influential people, the guys that you want to be like, right? You don't see that. So you don't see James Bond losing his emotion. Now, I wasn't the biggest watcher of those movies, but I know that the James Bond movies, I've seen them on and off. But even then, he stayed composed, and that's partially what made him attractive. That's what makes men attractive when they're composed, right? And that's the thing. That's the thing. Most people lose their emotions like very easily. Most people like will lose their shit off of if there's traffic, if it's raining outside, right? Like they'll lose their shit off. They'll lose their mind off of little things, and that's the thing. Those little things will make you lose your mind off of anything. Like you have to practice just not to lose your emotions off of just little things. And I'm not saying that you're not going to feel it. You're going to feel it. There's going to be a time you're going to get irritated. Even like the other day, there was an inconvenience with the internet. The internet was really slow. And I began feeling frustrated. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, bitch and complain about it, or just figure out like what to do? Because bitching and complaining is not gonna do anything. So I started thinking of other ways to fix it or to deal with it instead of lashing out, because lashing out may seem like a great way to do it. It isn't. It just, it doesn't fix anything. It may feel good for like, it's like scratching like a scab. Like, it feels good, but it makes it worse. So I don't recommend it. I don't recommend you do that, but just think about it. You have to control your emotions. That's really it. Also, in terms of controlling your emotions, another thing you need to watch out for is when you're reacting emotionally or angry or very sad. I'm just letting you know that you can get manipulated by it. You can easily get manipulated. First, by someone who knows what they're doing, someone who's composed, maybe your opponent. They can manipulate you. If it's in a negotiation, I remember reading this in the 48 Laws of Power. So there's a law, I forgot the number of it. But it's stir waters to catch fish, right? And that's really getting someone to lash out emotionally. Why? Because when someone lashes out emotionally, they lost some sort of the frame. They're angry, so they're trying to regain control. But when they do it that way, they're susceptible to manipulation. And this is a little bit of a different approach of what I'm talking about. But yeah, they're susceptible to manipulation. They're susceptible to just, yeah, like, besides looking terrible because they can't control their emotions, they can get manipulated. And that's the thing. It's like you're showing your cards. It's like you're playing poker, which I don't play poker. So if you play poker, I'm sorry if I'm screwing this up. But say you're playing poker and you show your cards, right? You lose the game. It's going to be hard for you to win the game. It's probably going to be nearly impossible, especially from someone who's very good at poker, right? So by you losing your emotions, people see your weak spot. They see your blind spot. They see, oh, okay, I know that if I do this or I say that, then it's going to get them to react that way, and I could get a better deal for this negotiation. So I highly recommend that you do not lash out. You learn how to control your emotions, and yeah, it's better for you. It will put you ahead of 90% of people. So, but thank you guys so much. And yeah, just shoot me a follow. Take care.